What is up, race fans? We're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, site of 100 years of racing history for the Brickyard 400, the NASCAR Nitro Series 7th stop out of 12 this season. Today is the qualifying and pick your winner. That's right, just like last week, Mark D of Cut Rock Creek Racing picked the winner correctly during the qualifying video. Just leave your pick in the comment section. If you guess correctly, we'll send you a Hot Wheels car at the end of the season. Now we're going to kick things off with our points leader, Ross Chastain. He's finished on the podium, I believe, all but the first two races so far. He's got 2 wins, and he looks very fast, very smooth coming out of turns 1 and 2. And that's a 13:44. Up next is Sterling Marlin. He's about a race and a half back from Ross Chastain in the points. Did not get much pushback from the gate. And he looks pretty fast going into the turns. Brushes the wall coming out of turn 1 a little bit and doesn't lose a lot of speed. And that is an 11:16. Holy cow, that'll put him on the pole. So far, he's good for the pole. Up next is Alan Kulwicki, winner at Bristol this year. So far, he's been very consistent. He's gotten top 10s in most of the races, gotten a few other good finishes here and there. And that's a 15:19. And up next is our Daytona 500 winner, Jimmy. The highest ranked made in China, Dollar General, whatever you want to call it, car. It's not going to stop him. His car has been pretty fast this year, but not today. He's going to pull into the infield. Apparently, he's got some mechanical issues. He's going to be starting towards the back. Yep, he's just sitting there. Camera will pan in on him a little bit. And now it's up to Todd Bodine to try and unseat his teammate Sterling Marlin. And he looks pretty good so far. He looks really fast coming out of the start gate. Slides into the turn, hits the wall a lot like Sterling Marlin, but it doesn't seem to slow him down very much. He runs a blistering 12:31, good for second place so far. And up next is Johnny Benson, our highest ranked rubber tire car, as well as the highest ranked driver that hasn't won a race yet this season. Will his luck change this week? I don't know. Comes out of turn 1 pretty smoothly. Doesn't lose a lot of speed in turn 2, sinks to the bottom of the track a bit, but recovers. That's a 13:69. Up next is Pete Hamilton. And he has struggled very mightily as of late. Got a podium very early in the season and hasn't really done much since then. Still in the top 12 in points and stalls his car out in the middle of turn 2. He'll be starting in the back. And up next is Ricky Craven, the other rubber-tired car, one of 3 in the series. 2 in the top 12 in points. And he's looking good so far. Doesn't lose a lot of speed coming out of 1, but loses a lot of it in turn 2. And very meekly crosses the line. That's an 18:07. He's in on points. He'll be starting in the back. And up next is Richard Petty. So far, he's looking pretty smooth going into turn 1. Coming out, he gets on his side a little bit, hits the inner guardrail, and really loses a lot of momentum there on the middle straight. That's a 17:28. Likely he'll be starting on points. And E. Marshall was out too late partying, and he missed the driver's meeting. He blamed it on Vinny. So now it's Bubba Wallace, after getting a podium in his dollar store car, trying out some better equipment, and that's a 14:34. Up next is Bill Elliott. Bill Elliott close to falling out of the top 12 due to too many DNFs. The podium earlier in the years really saved him. And he'd probably still get in anyway. That's a 14:18. And up next is Rusty Wallace, currently 12th in points. Our last driver in on points. Looks good going into turn 1. Coming out, grinds against the outside wall a bit. Slides down the track and may not even finish. Yep, he will be starting in 20th. And now we have Jeff Fuller. Fell out of the top 12 after last week. Not much pushback from the gate. He's looking to claw his way back into the top 12. Had some nice finishes earlier in the year, but has fallen off lately. Hits the inside barrier pretty violently and loses a lot of momentum. That's a 15.53. That'll put him right on the bubble. And now here is Jeremy Mayfield. Missed a lot of races early in the year. Now he's had a couple of main event appearances in a row. And that streak isn't going to continue because he's on his roof. And since he's outside the top 12 in points, he won't be racing. And now it's time for D Driver, the lowest of the $3 store cars. These cars had some speed at the beginning of the year, and Bubba Wallace got a podium with it last week, but have been mighty inconsistent. He's had a lot of DNFs. Slides around the track. That is a 15.47. Right on the bubble, just like Jeff Fuller. Up next is David Reagan. Stormed onto the scene at Texas with a podium finish and hasn't done much since then. And he slides too much coming out of turn 1. And that's a DNF. And up next, it's Ricky Rudd. This car has been wicked fast, but way too hard to handle. A lot of qualifying DNFs from taking it in the turns too fast. Now, Rudd drifts through turn 1 like he's Ken Block or something, and I think someone has to remind him that this is not an autocross event because he's just sliding around. It's an 18 flat. I doubt he gets in. So now we have Martin Truex Jr., wild pushback from the gate. This is the highest ranked Lionel model. And he is flying out there. Does not hit the wall at all inside turn 1. Or turn 2. He just zips across the track. That is a 13.12. That's good enough to push our points leader out of third place. And up next is his teammate Ryan Blaney. And he's looking to have a similar good start. Goes into turn 1, very much like Martin Truex. It's the wall a little bit. That might take some time off, but he recovers, and that's a 14.13. He should still get in. And up next is Jeff Gordon. I'm pretty sure he's DNQ'd for like 3 or 4 races in a row now. And this doesn't look good. Yep, he loses all of his energy in turn 2 and gets a DNF. And his team's got to go back to the drawing board because he went a couple points out from the top 12 to now failing to qualify for multiple races in a row. And that's just bad. Now up next is Kaz Grala. And if you want to talk about bad seasons, before his upset segment win last week, he was dead last in points. But he's looking to make up some ground today. That looks like he's going to have a solid lap. And that's an 11.90. Holy cow. That's a half a second faster than Todd Bodine. He'll be starting second as it stands. Now up next is Michael Waltrip sporting a new ride. His original car got a bent axle. So, won't roll down the track anymore. So he brings in his backup car. And, well, his backup car is slow. That's a 17.16. I doubt he gets in. And now here is David Green, an identical casting to Sterling Marlin. But the gravity hasn't been nearly as kind to him. He's had some DNQs, some DNFs. He's looking to change his luck around today. And he's got a good chance to do that. That's a 14.15. That should get him a pretty good starting spot. And up next is Ace Grimm. Only 1 start so far this year. Was a top 10 finish, but did some dirty driving to get there. And other than that, he's been a solid DNQer. And it doesn't look like it's going to change much today because this is very slow. That's an 18.79. Ouch. And up next is Elmo Langley. He's had a couple of starts so far this year. Not really that bad compared to some of the other underdog cars. And looks like he'll at least complete the lap. Not too good coming out of turn 2, loses any momentum he had, and that's a 16.78. And up next is Johnson Jr. He had another bent axle. I couldn't find a identical casting, so I did a little repair on the front end. And he's out of the gate, not much pushback, and so far so good. Similar casting to our points leader, and he gets a little squirrely coming out of turn 1. And you can see right there, Exhibit A, as to why my cars usually get eliminated in the first round when I mail them out to other YouTubers. That is a pretty slow lap. That is a 16:56. I highly doubt he gets in. And up next is Harrison Burton. He's been struggling as of late. Only been a part of 2 out of the 6 events so far because of qualifying DNFs and other bad laps, and that's not going to change today. I doubt we'll see his car very often anymore, if we see it at all anymore. Up next is Bobby Labonte. Similar car to Jeff Gordon. This time his car looks quite a bit faster than Gordon's car, though, and loses all of his momentum in turn 2. Which is kind of weird because he actually looked really good coming out of turn 1. And it looks like the crew might go over and check for a flat tire or something. But up next is our favorite party animal, Vinny Oonce Nightlife. And surprise, surprise, Vinny's off to the races. And he spins it coming out of turn 1. Would you look at that? He recovers. He's going to finish the lap in reverse. That is incredible. Vinny puts on a show, but that's a 16:19. I doubt he gets in. And hopefully he learns his lesson about showboating now, especially this low in points. Up next is Matt Kenseth, who's been really fast in qualifying, but inconsistent on race day. He's DNF'd every race so far. So I guess that means he is consistently disappointing, but that's a 12:97. He'll have a good starting spot to try and turn his season around. And up next is Ronnie McD, another one of the old school racing champions which have struggled as of late, and this is going to be no exception, although that was more on him than the car. He just spins it out there. And up next is Stacy Compton, who is now dead last in points, still tied with Morgan Shepherd for dead last in points. 1 career start, 1 career last place finish, and he will not be adding any points to his total today. That's a DNF. And up next is Vinny Oonce Nightlife's punk rocker cousin Mo Hawk, sporting his favorite punk rock band on his car. That's the number 7 Black Flag Chevrolet, and so he takes turn 2 at a bad angle, and now it looks like he's more interested in the tailgating in the infield than he is on finishing his qualifying lap, because he is off the track and driving towards the infield. And up next, it's Jimmy Means. He's in a Racing Champions Pontiac, and he's quicker than a lot of these other Racing Champions cars, but he still has yet to make a race. And well, we know that the Jimmy in the number 9 car is not Jimmy Means because he has his own car. And he's going to drive his own car to join Mohawk at the infield party because he's not going to be racing today. And up next is Swervin' Irvin. He has yet to make a race this season. This is his second attempt at fielding a car because his first attempt with rubber tires and one of the axles was messed up. And that's a 1365. He'll be making his debut. And up next is Ted Musgrave, another car that I repaired after it got a bent axle. He is still looking to make his Nitro Series debut, and he's looking pretty smooth so far. He has flew through turn 1, loses a little momentum in turn 2, but still gets a 1338. So now we'll have 2 new drivers making their debut in the next race, and up next is our last driver, Ty Dillon. He's made a couple of attempts, hasn't made a race yet, and he is definitely off the pace compared to Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr. So here is your lineup. You have our pole sitter Sterling Marlin. Looks like Kaz Grala, Todd Bodine, and Matt Kenseth will be leading their respective segments of the start on race day. And if you look, D Driver is the last driver in on speed. Everyone from Richard Petty on back is in on points. And Jeff Fuller, his first DNQ of the year. So one last look at your starting lineup for the Brickyard 400. And once again, hit that like button, leave a comment. Leave a comment on which driver you think will win. If you guess right, I'll send you a Hot Wheel at the end of the season. And always remember, if you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button as well. We'll see you on race day.